Hey beautiful, thinking about building Qiuyuan? Don't worry, here's his best build guide. Qiuyuan is a 5-star arrow sword sub-DPS. His whole kit revolves around a special meter called Swordster's Soliloquy. You build it up as you fight, and once it's full, you can enter a powered-up stance that completely changes how he plays. When you first start using Qiuyuan, he fights in his normal stance. His basic combo, Inkwash, has 3 fast arrow strikes. After each swing, there's a brief moment where he shifts into a defensive stance. And if you get attacked during that time, he performs a dodge counter, completely avoiding damage and hitting back instantly. It feels really satisfying when you pull it off. His heavy attack also fits into that flow. You can spend stamina to unleash a stronger arrow slash. And if you chain it right after your basic combo, it leads into a hidden 4th hit, Inkwash Stage 4. Every hit and counter adds to your Swordster's Soliloquy meter, so you're constantly building up toward a stronger state just by playing well. Now let's talk about his resonance skill. Basically, Qiuyuan's resonance skill actually has 2 forms. If you tap it, he dashes forward with a sharp arrow strike. It's quick, clean, and if you use it right before taking a hit, he becomes completely immune to damage and interruptions for a short time. It's great for avoiding big attacks. Also, if you hold the skill, he jumps into the air and glides forward while slashing through enemies. If there's no one around, he keeps moving until his stamina runs out, and when you let go, he crashes down with an arrow explosion. It looks awesome and gives him great mobility, perfect for chasing airborne enemies or dodging ground attacks. Both versions generate concerto energy, which helps fuel his ultimate later. Now, his forte circuit is where things get interesting. Everything Qiuyuan does, attacks, dodges, his intro skill, builds that soliloquy meter up to a max of 600. At 200, his normal attack evolves into a heavier 4-stage combo that counts as heavy attack damage and hits harder. At 400, he activates Bamboo's Shade, which gives your entire team a 30% echo skill damage bonus for 30 seconds. And when you finally fill the meter to 600, he enters his burst mode, Ink Splash of Mind, for about 8 seconds. His heavy attacks change completely, becoming a chain of enhanced arrow slashes. They hit harder, look amazing, and each one counts as echo skill damage, meaning they also benefit from the team buff he just gave. These attacks consume your soliloquy meter, and when it runs out, the stance ends. Qiuyuan's passives tie everything together. His first one, Quietude Within, boosts those powered-up attacks by 50% during Ink Splash of Mind, and the final hit restores concerto energy, so he can charge his ultimate faster. His second passive, Drink Away Woes Age-Old. Every time you use an echo skill, he brews something called a flowing panacea. The next time you gain soliloquy, he drinks it and gets a 10% attack buff for 20 seconds. Then we have his Resonance Liberation, Sundering Strike, which is a huge arrow slash that hits everything in front of him. But the real reason it's strong is the bonus it gives your team. For every 1% of crit rate Qiuyuan has above 50%, your teammates gain 2% crit damage, up to 30%. So if you build him with around 70 to 80% crit rate, you're giving everyone a massive damage boost just by existing. Finally, his intro skill makes him leap into battle with a sharp arrow slash that counts as heavy attack damage. Right after it lands, you can press normal attack to jump straight into stage 3 of his combo, instantly building soliloquy. Whereas in his outro skill, when Qiuyuan leaves the field, he slashes once more, dealing arrow damage that counts as echo skill damage. Then, the next character you bring and gets a huge 50% echo skill damage amplification for 14 seconds. So even when he's stepping off the field, Qiuyuan's still setting up his team for massive follow-up damage. Now, when it comes to upgrading Qiuyuan's skills, not everything deserves your resources equally. At the very top, you've got his Forte Circuit. This is the core of Qiuyuan's gameplay. It controls the Swordster's Soliloquy, his transformation into Ink Splash of Mind, and all of his enhanced heavy attacks, like Thus Spoke the Blade to Teach, to Save, and to Sacrifice. Leveling this first directly boosts the multipliers on his strongest attacks, and extends the payoff for all the time you spend building Soliloquy. Next talent that you should prioritize is his Resonance Liberation. This is Qiuyuan's Burst, a massive arrow strike that not only hits hard but also buffs your team's crit damage based on his own crit rate. That buff can reach up to 30%, which is a massive increase for your whole squad's damage output. So even though you'll use it less often than his normal combos, it's a huge part of what makes Qiuyuan such a strong hybrid between a DPS and a support. After that, you've got his resonance skill. It's great for movement, quick hits, and damage reduction when timed right, but it's not his main source of power. You'll use it often, but it's more for repositioning, dodging, and feeding concerto energy than raw damage, whereas normal attack and intro skill should get the least priority. Now, moving forward, when it comes to Qiuyuan's resonance chain, there's one that stands far above the rest, Resonance 3. It's the turning point in his entire kit. Sure, his first two resonances are great in their own right. Resonance 1 grants a clean 20% crit rate boost and makes his enhanced attacks uninterruptible. Resonance 2 amplifies his supportive side, empowering Bamboo's Shade to grant your entire team plus 30% Echo skill damage amplification. It's a huge buff for Echo-based DPS allies, turning Qiuyuan into a seamless offensive support. But then comes Resonance 3. This resonance overhauls his ultimate, Sundering Strike, with a staggering plus 500% damage boost, and unlocks a new ability, Straw Cape and Drizzly Rain. When Qiuyuan's concerto energy is full, this move lets him unleash a devastating arrow strike, instantly restore 400 points of Swordster Soliloquy, and skip straight into Inkwash of Mind. And it only gets better. After activation, his enhanced heavy attacks gain an additional plus 600% damage boost and restore concerto energy with every hit. It's a perfect combat cycle: build, burst, refill, repeat. And if we talk about his rest of the chain, resonances 4, 5, and 6, they're solid, but not revolutionary. You get the usual mix of stat boosts, attack increases, defense ignore, a bit of crowd control, and a brief crit damage buff. All useful, all powerful, but none of them redefine how he plays. So, in simple words, if you want to upgrade, go for his Resonance Chain 3. Now, let's talk about his best team compositions. Qiuyuan's flexibility allows him to fit both as a sub-DPS support and as a main DPS hypercarry. His key strength lies in his ability to increase Echo skill damage for the active on-field character through his Bamboo's Shade effect. This makes him especially effective in teams built around on-field Echo skill, reliant DPS units like Galbrina, while being less impactful for off-field or burst-style units, such as Frolova. So his best team includes Galbrina as a main DPS, Qiuyuan as sub-DPS, and Shorekeeper as support. This is Qiuyuan's best team composition overall, as it perfectly aligns with his kit's core design. Galbrina's combat style revolves around continuous on-field Echo skill usage, allowing her to fully capitalize on Qiuyuan's Bamboo's Shade buff. The consistent Echo skill DMG amplification directly boosts her total output, while Qiuyuan contributes additional sub-DPS pressure and rotation uptime through Swordster's Soliloquy and Inkwash of Mind. Shorekeeper serves as the stabilizing element, providing defensive utility and sustain, which lets both Qiuyuan and Galbrina maintain offensive uptime safely. Overall, this team maintains excellent damage consistency, energy cycling, and Echo skill uptime, making it the optimal setup for players who own Galbrina. Then we have his second team, Frolova as main DPS, Qiuyuan as sub-DPS, and Canarella as support and sub-DPS. While Frolova can pair with Qiuyuan, this setup is less optimal than the Galbrina composition due to the way Frolova's kit functions. Her Resonance Liberation deals most of her damage while she is off-field, meaning she cannot directly benefit from Qiuyuan's Echo skill DMG buff, which only applies to the current active character. However, Canarella helps bridge this gap by contributing steady off-field damage and additional support effects. Qiuyuan's sub-DPS role here focuses on rotational uptime, arrow application, and energy cycling, keeping the team active between Frolova's bursts. This team performs well for players who enjoy alternating burst windows rather than continuous on-field pressure. Then his third team, Qiuyuan as main DPS, Yuno as sub-DPS, and Shorekeeper as support. This is Qiuyuan's hypercarry team, designed to let him function as the primary source of damage. With his Resonance 3 unlocked, Qiuyuan gains powerful damage scaling, concerto energy recovery, and self-sustaining rotations, allowing him to maintain near constant uptime in Inkwash of Mind. Yuno provides off-field damage and contributes resonance bonuses that complement Qiuyuan's Aero damage profile, while Shorekeeper ensures the team remains stable through defensive utility. This team excels at high APM gameplay, consistent damage output, and momentum-based rotations, fitting players who prefer to keep Qiuyuan as the constant on-field damage dealer. Then his fourth team, Qiuyuan, Mortify, and Shorekeeper. This composition represents Qiuyuan's free-to-play, friendly setup, offering a balanced mix of offense and sustain without relying on premium characters. Qiuyuan functions as the team's main carry, while Mortify provides reliable off-field damage and consistent echo procs. Shorekeeper continues to be the defensive backbone, maintaining shields and ensuring uptime on rotations. While this team lacks the raw scaling potential of the Galbrina comp, it remains fully viable for clearing most content efficiently. It's accessible, stable, and easy to pilot, making it an excellent choice for new or budget-conscious players. In short, Qiuyuan's value peaks when paired with on-field echo skill, focused characters, and no one benefits more from his presence than Galbrina. If she's part of your roster, Qiuyuan becomes an essential pull for unlocking one of the strongest and most cohesive team cores in the game. Now, let's talk about his best echo sets, because this is where Qiuyuan's build really comes together. If you want to balance both support utility and personal damage, the best choice is without a doubt the Law of Harmony set. This one's perfect for Qiuyuan because it boosts his heavy attack damage while also giving your teammates an echo skill bonus. It directly strengthens both sides of his kit, his own power and his team's output. But if you want to go all in on personal damage, Sierra Gale is your next best pick. It's a strong offensive set that focuses purely on Aero damage scaling, letting Qiuyuan's attacks hit even harder during his burst windows. So the ideal combination is a three-piece Law of Harmony, since it amplifies both heavy attack and echo skill damage, paired with any two-piece Aero damage set, like Sierra Gale, Gusts of Welkin, or Windward Pilgrimage, which all give an extra 10% Aero damage bonus. For his main echo, the best choice is Reminiscence Fenrico. It deals 273.6% Aero damage, and while equipped, gives Qiuyuan a 12% Aero damage bonus and 12% heavy attack damage bonus, which fits his kit perfectly since most of his major damage comes from enhanced heavy attacks. If you're running a full Sierra Gale 5-piece set, that's another strong option. You'll get the 2-piece 10% Aero damage bonus, plus a 30% Aero damage bonus for 15 seconds after using your intro skill, perfect for aggressive rotations. And for that build, the best main echo is Nightmare Fylean Baringle. It deals 164.16% Aero damage, and the remaining Whirlwind Beam hits nearby enemies up to 5 times, each for 21.89% Aero damage. Just like Fenrico, it also gives a 12% Aero damage bonus and 12% heavy attack damage bonus, making it a strong pick for pure DPS setups. So if you're playing Qiuyuan as a hybrid DPS and team support, go with Law of Harmony plus Aero sub-pieces with Fenrico. But if you want him as a full solo carry, the Sierra Gale full set with Fylean Baringle will make him feel like a non-stop Aero storm. Alright, now let's talk about Qiuyuan's echo stat priorities, because this part really decides whether he will OP or not. For Qiuyuan, you'll want to run a 4-3-3-1-1 echo combination, and what really matters here is how you balance his main and substats. On your main stats, your biggest priority should always be crit rate or crit damage on that 4-cost echo. Qiuyuan scales beautifully with crits, especially since his ultimate gives your whole team extra crit damage based on his own crit rate. So, the higher your crit rate, the stronger your whole squad becomes. If you've already got solid crit rate, then go for crit damage instead. That's where his burst really starts to shine. Next, for the 3-cost slot, your best pick is Aero damage bonus, no question. Everything Qiuyuan does, from his normal attacks to his forte circuit bursts, revolves around Aero scaling. But if you don't get a good Aero piece, attack percent is your fallback option. It still works perfectly fine and keeps your damage consistent across rotations. And for the smaller 1-cost echoes, stick with attack percent. Now, when it comes to substats, you really want to think like Qiuyuan himself: precision first, power second. You're aiming for around 65% to 70% crit rate for stable consistency, and then as much crit damage as you can stack without throwing your ratio off. After that, attack percent and heavy attack damage are your next best rolls. Those extra percentages might seem small, but they make a noticeable difference when you're inside Inksplash of Mind, chaining those enhanced heavy attacks one after another. So the idea here is simple. Build him for balance, not greed. Now, moving forward, let's talk about Qiuyuan's best weapon. Without a doubt, his signature weapon is his best in slot. It's built perfectly around everything he does. It has a base attack of 588 and gives a 24.3% crit rate bonus, which already sets a strong foundation for his scaling. But the real value is in the passive effect. At Refinement 1, it increases his attack by 12%, and every time Qiuyuan casts an Echo skill, he gains a stack of Bamboo Cleaver, which boosts his heavy attack damage by 30%, stacking up to 2 times, and lasting for 30 seconds. And when you reach max stacks, casting another Echo skill resets the duration, meaning you can keep this buff rolling almost permanently. It doesn't stop there. Using his intro skill also gives 20% Echo skill damage bonus to your entire team for 30 seconds. That's massive synergy. It boosts Qiuyuan's own core attacks and enhances your whole squad at the same time, making it feel tailor-made for his playstyle. But this isn't one of those must-have or nothing situations, like Galbrina, where her signature completely defines her performance. Qiuyuan has other really strong options too, and that's what makes him so flexible. A great alternative is the Emerald of Genesis. It has the same base attack of 588 and 24.3% crit rate bonus, but this one focuses more on consistency and uptime. It increases energy regeneration by 12.8%, and every time you cast your resonance skill, your attack increases by 6%, stacking twice for 10 seconds. It helps you cycle ultimates faster and keeps your flow uninterrupted. Perfect if you want smoother gameplay instead of pure burst. Then there's the Red Spring, another 5-star option with the same base attack and crit rate. It boosts attack by 12%, and when you deal basic attack damage, you gain a 10% basic attack bonus that can stack up to 3 times for 14 seconds. Plus, when Qiuyuan spends his Concerto energy, he gets a 40% basic damage bonus for 10 seconds, which lines up beautifully with his rotation, especially during his stance transitions. And if you're a newer player or still working on building your arsenal, don't worry, there are some solid 4-star options too. Weapons like Looming Gloss, Somnwar Anchor, and Commando of Conviction all work perfectly fine as early game alternatives. They won't reach the same ceiling as his signature, but they'll still keep Qiuyuan's rotation smooth and his crit scaling healthy until you can upgrade later. So to sum it up, his signature weapon is the best option but not must-have, as there are some good alternatives too. Now let's wrap things up by talking about Qiuyuan's ascension materials, because if you're planning to build him, you'll need to start farming these early. To level Qiuyuan all the way up, you're going to need Wintry Bells, Truth and Lies, and Whispering Cores, which you can mainly get from tactical dominators in the Huanglong region. Along with that, you'll also need a total of 170,000 shell credits to take him to max level. And when it comes to upgrading his Forte skills, the grind gets a bit heavier. You'll need plenty of metallic drip materials from forgery challenges, plus even more Whispering Cores from Echo Drops in Huanglong. And yeah, expect to spend about 2,030,000 shell credits in total to fully max out every Forte. So that's everything you need to know about Qiuyuan. If you're planning to pull for him, good luck, he's absolutely worth it. And hey, if you've watched till the very end, you're a legend.